Welcome to Milestone Moments, the show where we explore the journeys that lead to success. I'm Sheila Slick, your host and founder of 5 Milestones. In every episode, we will bring you insights from the minds of entrepreneurs, leaders, and experts who will share not just their expertise, but the milestone moments that have reshaped their journeys and led to significant achievements. So if you're looking for motivation, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and discover the milestones that mark the path to success. Welcome to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. I'm your host, Sheila Slick, and today my special guest is Rachel Allen. Rachel is founder of Bolt from the Blue Copywriting. She's a fast-thinking marketer with over 17 years of experience and clients in over 21 countries. She has written for some of the biggest names in businesses, worked with influencers, nonprofits, and brick-and-mortar brands worldwide. Her work has contributed to high ROI launches, industry awards, and national-level honors. She believes that great marketing is equal parts data and humanity, and she has built her entire career proving that. Welcome to the show, Rachel.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Well, me too. And I'd love to begin asking you, how did you get started in this line of work?
Well, I had no idea what this line of work was until the day I started doing it. I would have never thought that I was going to run a business. I never thought that I was going to do marketing. I didn't really even know what marketing jobs were because I had gone to school for journalism. And I did all the stuff, interned at NPR, had the grades, and then graduated into the '08 recession. And of course, no one was hiring, and especially not journalists from rural Tennessee. So I sent out 200 resumes, and the only response I got was for this job at Old Navy, like unpacking boxes on the 5 a.m. warehouse shift. So I did that for about 6 months and was like, this is not how I want to spend the rest of my life. And in my 22-year-old brain, I was like, well, what's the furthest place away from Tennessee? Turns out it's Hong Kong. So I bought a plane ticket and I just left. But of course, I hadn't gotten a work visa or anything before I left, so I ended up stranded there with about $200 in my bank account, and I had to make rent. So I'm Googling like how to make money online, which is only marginally less idiotic then than it is now. And I found this freelance job, and they said they would pay me $3.25 to write something, and I was like, done. So I did, and I ended up loving it, and decided to build a business off of it.
So that's quite a pivot story, not just because you went from journalism to packing boxes, but going to Hong Kong, going
Yeah.
across the world, and then you had a language barrier. So
Mhm.
how did you manage with a different culture, whole different system, and a whole different language?
So I had studied abroad there, and I had a like 6-year-old's level of Cantonese. So, like I can like get around on the metro and I can order food and like find a bathroom. But as far as the culture, I mean, honestly, I was just so excited about it. I had always wanted to travel, and I had grown up in these like very rural hollers in Appalachia. And while there's so many wonderful things about those, I just always wanted to see the world. And so it was just really exciting for me. I didn't find it anything anything other than great when I was there. So I actually ended up living nomadically for about 10 years after that, and I moved like every 6 months to all these different countries. So it's actually scarier to me to like stay in one place. And that to me feels like the risky part of like, because you're like, oh, pack a bag and leave the country. I'm like, sure, whatever, no problem. But it's like, hey, like stay here and make friends in your local community. And I'm like, oh, like, do I have to?
But I'm trying to envision the change because you
Yeah.
weren't like in a big city either. You said
Yeah.
rural Tennessee, right? So
Hmm.
you're going from the smaller towns and the nature and the fields. I mean, Hong
Yeah.
Kong is like one of the most modern, biggest cities in the world.
Yeah.
That's just fascinating.
Yeah. It was definitely different. The like, personal space thing was a big thing to get used to just because there's so many people, the population density is so high, and they don't have the, 3-foot American bubble.
Did at any point in time you just think, oh my gosh, what have I just done?
Kind of all the time. It was a little bit of back and forth of like, "This is amazing. Oh my god, what is happening?"
So let's talk a little bit about copywriting. So now we know that that was your origin story. I am assuming it went well because you began with $200 and then you not only managed to stay, but you were able to live in different countries for over a
Mhm.
decade.
Yeah.
So what made you return back to the United States?
I'm actually, back in Tennessee. So I was living in London with someone that I had been with for, 9 years, and our visas were together, and then we broke up. So I had to leave the country, which is a just horrible setup, and I don't say anybody should do it. So we broke up. I had to leave the country. I crashed on a friend's couch in Switzerland for a while, and then one of my oldest friends texted me, and she said, "Hey, I'm living in DC. I'm looking for a roommate. Do you wanna come live with me?" And I was like, "Sure. What do I know about DC? Sounds great." So I packed my bag and then went and lived with her for about 4 years, and then, after that, I just really had the feel to get back to the mountains for a while. So I moved to, a different, slightly larger town and have just been really enjoying, the nature again.
Do you have a book about all your adventures?
I do actually. Yeah, it's a memoir. It should be coming out fairly soon. It's called Batshit, and it's about growing up. And I was, like I said, in this very rural community, extremely hard right fundamentalist Christian, and that's just not my belief system. And I just couldn't make my brain function on that. So I thought I was insane. I thought I was literally crazy. And so have the story is of me realizing like, oh no, actually, that's just not my particular belief system, and I'm not actually insane, and it is possible to live a different life.
I can't wait till it comes out. Please share that link. I will be one of your first purchases because I
Thank
really want to
you.
dig into what that life looked like for you. And
Yeah.
I think it's something that a lot of people may want to read about. What are some of the trends that we're seeing today, especially with AI?
So, I think we're seeing a couple things. One, people are really either like digging down into AI and using it super effectively, or they're like, you know what, actually, I don't want anything to do with this. And both are perfectly valid and both can work. The third trend that I'm seeing that people are struggling with is they're trying to like kind of do half and half. And I'm like, ugh, you can't really like do it a little bit, you need to either learn these tools and get good at them, or you need to decide that you're gonna do something else and differentiate yourself that way. You can't just be like, "I don't know, ChatGPT, do my marketing for me," and then just put a bunch of stuff out. Because I mean, the term AI slop exists for a reason. We're all so jaded seeing this same stuff over and over again.
Do you think it's here to stay?
Oh, yeah. I think definitely. I think, I think the hype is gonna die down around it. I think there's a lot of promises made about it that just aren't realistic given that it's like a tool, it's a large language model, it's not a genie. And I think there's a lot of like hype of, oh, this is gonna change the whole entire world, the way we communicate. And I'm like, humans have been using language for at least 60,000 years. I mean, some studies vary. It depends on who you look at, what we count as language. But we've been talking to each other for a really long time. And this is not going to fundamentally change that. It just amplifies some elements and downplays others.
I agree. Part of your stance in leveraging AI is to not lose the human voice that
Yes.
actually converts. So,
Yes.
what's one thing that you can share or a key takeaway in respect to how do we protect our human voice and make sure that it converts?
Oh, that's such a good question. So I think there's a couple things. One is to actually get a really strong sense of what your own voice sounds like. I think if people have been doing, if they've been outsourcing their marketing kind of from the beginning, or if they've never really listened to what they sound like, it can be hard to say, like, oh, no, that's me, or no, that's not me. So I think you need to start by doing the horrible, awkward thing of like listening to how you talk on recordings or watching the way you speak if you're on stage, thinking about how you naturally write things when you're not kind of in like marketing mode, and then saying, does that actually sound like me? Or does that just sound like every other thing I read? And if you find yourself being like, well, when I speak as myself, it's weird or it's off-putting or it's too human or it's awkward. I'm like, no, you need to lean into that. You don't have to go around like intentionally being awkward because then you get into like manic pixie dream girl stuff, where it's like, I'm not like the other marketers. And you don't want that. But you just want to be as human as you possibly can because we know it when we see it and we're like, oh, thank God someone is actually talking like a person to me instead of a LinkedIn post.
I agree. Maybe even leave a misspelling at this point in time.
Sure. I mean, if that's how you talk, or I mean, I have all sorts of little idiosyncrasies in the way that I speak. And when I pay attention to them, so for instance, every email I ever write says, "Hello, lovely human," and that's how I talk to people in real life, or if I'm leaving a voice message with someone, I'll normally be like, blah, 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 blah. Okay, the end, goodbye. And so, I use the things that I naturally say, and you can't manufacture that. No one would be like, let's think of a greeting that sounds warm yet also human?
So you also say that you're partying like it's 2009 in online
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. So what does 2009 look like for you?
Mm. I'm so excited you asked me this. No one ever does. Okay. So, way back when I very first started, around 2008, 2009, there were a couple of internet trends that were going on because there were a whole bunch of people coming in from the Great Recession. So, you had a large amount of churn. You had a lot of people who had skills in other areas that they were learning to apply to something else. And so, in marketing, you had a whole bunch of things come in. So we had the traditional MLM tactics start moving over into online marketing. We had the FLEB, the female lifestyle empowerment brand, was a big deal. Everybody's hair was shiny. They were sitting on motorcycles for some reason. I'm not sure why. And it was a lot of like coaches coaching coaches to coach coaches. And so we're seeing a lot of the same things as people are struggling to get back into the job market, as things are shifting economically again, as there's a lot of chaos. A lot of people are moving from their jobs back into online entrepreneurship. And so there's a little bit of a feeding frenzy going on where all of these people who sold like email list tactics and oh gosh, the webinars and all that kind of stuff way back in the day, they're selling it again repackaged to new people. And because those people are new, they don't know any better.
So what can we learn from you, someone that has seen all of this, to these new people or people that perhaps haven't had that same point of view?
Yeah. Couple things. One, you know so much more than you think you do. When people first come in, there are entire industries predicated on being like, you don't know how to make a good decision here. You don't have the right skills. You need an expert to guide you. And while it is true, you can learn things from people, and I highly recommend coaching or mentorship. Ultimately, deep down, you need to trust your gut because you're an expert in something. So many people are coming in and they've been in the C-suite space or they're execs or they're, management. And then they come in and they feel intimidated because it's all new and flashy and online. But I'm like, no, you've got skills that carry over that people in this industry work for years to get. So trust yourself and trust your gut. The second thing I recommend is make some really good friends who actually see you and like you as you. So it's easy to want to join like the online popularity contest while back in the day it was B school. Everybody went to B school and everybody was friends there. Now there's other ones that are popping up. But you need to find people who genuinely believe in your business as you want to run it, as opposed to like you should do it like Susie Marketer, or you should do it like, I don't know, whatever dude is on stage these days. So be yourself, know your skills, find good friends, and then focus on doing one thing really well instead of trying to do all of the stuff all the time because you just can't. And it's a waste of energy.
So who do you help and how do you help them at Bolt from the Blue copywriting?
I help founders and execs. Oftentimes, they come to me with what I call impossible dreams and unsolvable problems. So they've shown up with something that they want to do in their marketing, and they're like, oh, but that's like really big. I don't know how I would do it. Or they've reached a level in their marketing where they're like, man, this is not working, and I do not know why. So they come and work with me. I'm industry agnostic, so I've worked with people literally all over the world in every single industry you can possibly imagine. And I just really like helping them get the word out.
Where can they find you online?
They can find me at boltfromthebluecopywriting.com or connect with me on LinkedIn.
So before we wrap it up, what would be that one key takeaway so that we can take action today?
Update your bio. People do them once and then they leave them forever and it's horrible and it ends up out of date and cringy and then you feel weird about sending people to look at it. So update your bio, get a quick, short little one up that feels accurate to what you're doing now and update it once a year because otherwise you get real dated real fast.
Do you have a special formula what the bio should
I
say? Should
do.
it
Yeah, I've got,
okay.
2 templates, actually, I'd be happy to share them. One is the, like, I'm a blah who does blah for blah, the one everybody knows, but you can spice it up a little bit. The other one is, I believe blah, and that's why I do blah. Through my work in 1, 2, 3, I help people do thing, and I'd be happy to send through a template for people to download.
And I'll make sure to leave all the URLs in the comments. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, this has been great.
And we'll have to invite you back once your book has been published so
Yes,
that we can
please.
learn more about that.
I'd love that.
Well, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. Until next time.